Welcome back, guys, to another...
Oh my god!
And this is pod number 23 today for our F1 24 career mode for the Qatar Grand Prix in our rookie debut season in Formula 1. And it's not just the Qatar Grand Prix, it's the penultimate race of our very first season. If you guys did miss the previous part at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, because that was a real hectic one with a shock new race winner in Formula 1. And just a very, very odd race. There were two different points where we were at the back of the grid, last place, and we still made our way back through for points. Yeah, it was quite baffling at the time, to be honest, because there did seem to be something up with everyone. You know, we had so many different cars out of position, teams and drivers, but it was Alexander Albon who took all the plaudits with a Williams win in Las Vegas. Crazy, crazy stuff. But for us, with McLaren, we did the ultimate sort of teamwork in action at Las Vegas as we got a 5 and 6. But it doesn't sound too amazing, but it is amazing when you consider Verstappen was in P10. So that brings the championship to only 10 points going into these final two race weekends. And of course, this race weekend for Qatar also includes a sprint race. So it is game on for the Drivers' Championship for Lando Norris, and obviously for us and the constructors, it's looking very good. I think actually, in fact, we could seal out the Constructors' Championship for McLaren this very episode, which would be a massive achievement in our first season only in Formula 1. And of course, in terms of the performance of the car, well, we have been looking at adapting every single part on the aero side, which will be reset in a regulation change in the winter break to Season 2. We are one upgrade away from adapting everything. At the moment, we don't have much on the bubble. We have an engine upgrade, which I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, we had to repurchase last episode, so that was meant to come in earlier for Las Vegas, but it'll finally come in for this episode. And then Lando has a durability upgrade pending. But apart from that, pretty much most of the upgrades that I could go for either are too expensive or I can't afford them, but they're going to come in time, well, not in time for any Grand Prix. They'll come in for over the winter break. So because the proximity of Qatar to Abu Dhabi at the end of the season, I didn't realize in the actual calendar dates, is so close together that that's pretty much it. The engine upgrade that's going to come in will be our final performance upgrade for the last two Grand Prix race weekends. So we go ahead and purchase that final adaptation, which is great though, to be fair. So into Season 2, we will not be losing a single bit of performance as we have adapted the entire aero package. I don't know whether that's going to be the same for our rivals around this, because they've done a lot of upgrading actually recently, especially, you know, the likes of Ferrari. Ironically, they may be screwed over if they haven't got enough R&D points then to adapt their aerodynamic upgrades, but only time will tell basically. But we go through our specialists, and now we head into the race weekend, taking a look at the R&D chart. It's very hard to actually tell what's going on because it's so close together, but effectively we've just got ahead back on paper of Mercedes. It's still Ferrari and Red Bull up there, but you can see how tight it is. So it's really just going to be a case of who can perform out there on circuit around Losail and then Yas Marina. And speaking of that, let's go then to qualifying, or sprint qualifying I should say, for the Qatar GP.
It's all about flow and pace today, qualifying in Qatar. A high-speed test that will set the grid for tomorrow's race. So welcome along.
It definitely indeed is all about flow around this circuit. Corners, going into corners, and rolling the car through many, many times over. This one's a tough one. You really have to concentrate, but it's a whirlwind of a lap. And in qualifying, on this game especially, I found, you know, with how quick you can go through high-speed corners and really chuck the car around, a lot of fun in qualifying, and that's good news for us as we're into sprint qualifying 3 then, as per usual. Not boring you with the details of SQ1 and SQ2. All that matters is we're here in the top 10, and this will be a bit of a rehearsal really for the full qualifying, but obviously we want to do well in the sprint just to maybe pick up some extra points. And in the end of it, it's a very, very decent showing. I mean, it's incredibly tight. 0.06 0.78 separating the top three. And shock horror, it's the top three in the championship, just in a slightly different order of Lando Norris in P1 for the sprint pole. Verstappen second, we're third though. It's been like this for pretty much the whole second half of the season, you know, since we really started to get comfortable with the game, with the handling, with this car as well. It really just has been us three at the sharp end of Formula 1, and this sprint will be no different, but good that Lando's on pole. Maybe can get that extra one championship point that might just matter at the end. And with that, here we go then, getting straight into the sprint at a slightly earlier time of day for the Qatar GP, as it's going to be lights out and we're underway. Lando with a bit of wheel spin, he has to try and cover off Verstappen, but it's no use. The Red Bull shoots through into P1, and that's a bit of an unfortunate thing to see at turn 1. Hopefully that is not a dress rehearsal for how the full Grand Prix might go, but let's see if it was to happen, as we lose the back end and we might even lose a position ourselves. Leclerc, let's see though, both us McLarens have lost the position. Can we re-overtake our rivals and try and get back the positions we have lost, as Lando Norris tries to go round the outside? The two will be wheel-to-wheel championship protagonists, and this is a close one into turn 2, but Lando will have to settle for P2 for now, because on to lap 3, DRS wide open. This time he's got a much better run, and he's fully ahead of Max before they even start braking. Meanwhile for us, we're still behind Leclerc as we go through from lap 3 onto 4, and the battery has been an issue for us. Look at the bottom right, we've got no battery left and we've still got half a straight to go, and then just look ahead of us at how quick and how far Leclerc got off that corner exit. So we need to try and do better at saving more battery for the main straight, but it's difficult because at Qatar you're so tempted to deploy so often because there's so many little mini straights where you feel like you can gain time, but we need to be wary because not only are we looking ahead, but we're looking behind. Hamilton is right there. This feels like a really intense sprint, you know, 10 laps flat out pushing because we're all so close together. Someone makes one mistake, like I did on lap 1, and you're going to lose a position. So we're keeping the pressure on Leclerc, because I really do feel like we can get that third place spot. Leclerc's locked up. He's locked up, and he's now taking us out. He's spun us round. Leclerc has just ruined that entire sprint for us. The front wing's off. We've got side pod damage as well, I'm pretty sure. Massive floor damage. It's all in the red, and our sprint is completely over. Look at that damage. Front wing broken with the initial lockup, and then I'm pretty sure he turned into us as we were passing him. So really bad lockup. He goes off circuit. Then look at this. He literally did not let me even turn round. I literally couldn't do anything. As soon as he started turning into me, I was a passenger, because no matter what direction I was trying to move the steering wheel, it just wasn't working. I'm going this slow and this wide because I've broken my wing, and I'm still recovering from that initial contact. Leclerc just decides, no, I want to get back on circuit ASAP, and he's just turning left into me, and you can see I'm now turning my wheel left, I'm turning it right. Either way, I just can't move because he's got so much momentum. I know I strung Ferrari along and then ultimately rejected them in the secret meetings to potentially join them in next season and probably partner Leclerc, and he's clearly not taking it very well because he's taking it out on me literally on track. There's just no need for it, and that's effectively our sprint over. Meanwhile, it is very much not over for Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. These two, they're just swapping every single straight. Like, if this is a bit of an inkling into the full Grand Prix, this is going to be a very intense, but maybe, you know, it's going to get a little bit samey if they're just going to be swapping every lap, if they're both fighting up at the front. Obviously, I'm hoping that we can get involved in the full Grand Prix, very much unlike right now, where we're in the pits very awkwardly at the same time as Leclerc, but that's our race over. We will just be pretty much parking up and saying goodbye to this day and to this sprint, and hopefully we can just put it behind us and forget about it. But Lando at least has got maybe some confidence here by winning the sprint, but with Verstappen second, it's only one championship point difference, but 1 point could make all the difference in the world when we come to Abu Dhabi. You never know, but more so, that'll just be a good confidence booster for Lando going into the full Grand Prix, that he can fight Verstappen wheel to wheel, you know, legit. I think it's going to be, honestly, a fight every single lap, basing it off the sprint. And then for us, well, I don't know. I genuinely think we could have overtaken Leclerc and then maybe got involved in the fight ourselves with Max, with Lando. So if it wasn't for that spin, I think it could have been pretty good. So I'm still quite confident about what we can do into the full Grand Prix, but just mystified at that crash. I mean, obviously, just very unfortunate about the lockup. Initially, that's fine. That's racing. It's hard luck being so close to Leclerc's rear end when he makes that initial mistake, but then just so confused and baffled at us getting then further taken out, basically. But anyway, we put that past us now, and we're fully focused on the full task at hand of the actual proper qualifying here in Q3, and in good spirits, like I said, because we had some good pace in sprint quali, and now maybe could be going quicker. You know, you'd like to think, you know, another chance to drive the lap in anger. I believe Lando and Verstappen once again at the sharp end. It's been a pretty tidy lap for me. I think this is our one and only chance for the lap. Oh my god, are you kidding me? 0.008. It rounds up to 9 apparently on the final screen. That's crazy. That's literally, I don't know, that's like a pixel worth of distance on the circuit somewhere, like a pixel tighter at an apex, and we would have been on full pole position for the Qatar Grand Prix. Unbelievable. But it's a really good qualifying for us then. Lando's actually taken a step back from sprint pole. He's now down to 3rd for the actual full grid there, so he'll be a bit annoyed, but at the same time you can't be, because 0.031 separated us 3. Again, it's going to be us 3 at the sharp end. Leclerc's not had a great qualifying, so clearly he has lost a bit of focus maybe from that crash in the sprint. We haven't. We're focused on the job at hand, and hopefully we can try and get a good launch and overtake Verstappen to aid Lando's fight, but ultimately also just go for another race win. We're in a good position for it. Let's go to the full Qatar GP.
We're under the lights once again here in Qatar. Last year we took a year off due to a small footballing tournament that was being hosted, but it's all excitement on the track now. We're back here in Losail for a track that's 3.34 miles long. There are 16 turns around its unique 3-pronged shape and just a single DRS zone out of turn 16. It's fast and it's flowing, and there's a good overtaking opportunity with DRS down the long straight and into turn 1. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, and a McLaren alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Hamilton, Sainz, Russell, Stroll, Ocon, Tsunoda, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Magnussen, Perez, Hulkenberg, Leclerc, Albon, Ricciardo, Sargent, and Zhou Guanyu. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And alongside me in the commentary box today, a man who I always look up to, which is easier said than done, Anthony Davidson. Now, sadly, things didn't work out for them last time. It was a bad race. Question is, though, can they recover today?
Yes, they can, Crofty. You've got to put it behind you. Whatever happened last time, I was always told as a driver, park it, forget about it. Obviously, feel the pain when it happens, but then you can't dwell on it and carry that through to the next race. So put it behind you and just crack on with this race coming your way now.
So big opportunity for potentially another race win today, but also an opportunity to take points off Verstappen to aid our teammate. We already did a lot of that in Vegas, really aiding him getting up into some good points. He's only 3rd place, so he well could also be a contender for the race win. And if it is a fight between him and Matt, like we saw in the sprint, obviously, where they're swapping left and right, if we're a part of that, things could get a little bit dicey, maybe a bit awkward at times, but that's going to be all the fun of it. But first and foremost, just wanting to try and do well from the front row, of course, as we line up on our grid and we get ready to go towards towards our second last race of the season. Wow, it feels like it's flown by, but equally has dragged on a bit. 24 rounds for an F1 season when you do a round daily is quite a long slog, but we're nearly here at the end as we go to 5 red lights. The Qatar Grand Prix is underway. It's not a good start for us. Verstappen still feels the need to cover us off as he aggressively moves to the inside. We're going to try and get our nose in there. We are ahead for a split second. Can we squeeze him out? Verstappen defiant. We lose the back end. Oversteer kicks in and now understeer as Lando's through into P2. We didn't put up too much of a fight on that, to be honest, because as soon as I was losing the rear end, the first thing I thought was don't spin this into Lando as he's getting on the inside. So we've kind of opened up the door for him to let him buy into second place, but to be fair, I didn't do well enough to earn staying in second place. It wasn't a great getaway off the 5 red lights, and then it wasn't a great exit off turn 1. We were so nearly into first place, and instead it's this man, Lando Norris, our teammate, that has actually booked himself into first. But I'm sure just like in the sprint, Verstappen will be looking to make the repass in the exact same place on the main straight, but the difference is we're right there with them both, very close together. There's a bit of a gap then to Hamilton, so it's just us three out in front. Verstappen looking for the repass. Lando setting the fast lap of the Grand Prix, but we've got DRS and we're going to overtake Lando, but go for the double pass as we absolutely send it. Real heavy aggression there, but it's worked out for us. We were confident on the brakes. We were really direct with the move, and we've just made a fantastic double overtake for the lead. Look at this. We went from the inside to the outside to make the move on Lando, then back to the inside to make the move. And actually, look at that replay. Not only did we make a great darting pass to the inside, we're actually very lucky. If that was any tighter, Lando could have actually spun himself out on my rear end when we made that move, and that would have been my fault for cutting across, but we've made it work. I'm trying my best to break DRS. It takes a fair few laps, but eventually we do. We show that we have the pace. I mean, we may as well have been on pole position. It was only 0.009, so we have that pace, and we've shown it now as we break the DRS, and that opens up the door for Lando to now make a pass on a defenseless Verstappen. He's not got DRS on us, and now the two will squabble. This time, he can't actually finish the move off, but you can see it is there for the taking because we stay consistently 1.5 seconds ahead of the Dutchman. Second time of asking, Lando finally gets it done. He's up into second place. It's a 1-2 for McLaren. That is ideal for us as we just push on to try and keep up this pace, but it's difficult. It's a real intense Grand Prix, and the tyres are really feeling the heavy fuel load because we come in here on lap 10 onto 11 for our pit stop. This is very early, about 4 laps earlier than the scheduled pit stop, but my entire left-hand side of the car is really worn out. Not a temperature issue, just heavy tyre wear, as we've seen in real life at Qatar, heavy tyre wear there. So we've just decided to come in and use, you know, the undercut that we know is so powerful on this year's game, way more than actually previous F1 games. You know, I know it maybe sounds like every year we say the undercut's powerful, but on this game, legitimately, it is so powerful. And the hard tyre at the moment is just such a good race tyre. We set a purple final sector as we overtake a couple of cars who start to make their pit stops. That includes Alonso, who was in the trailing pack behind us, so good to see we're miles ahead of him. And now we're actually catching some traffic of Sargent on the tail end. You've got Joe Guan Yu up there, a Haas, and a Visa Cash App RB, I believe, as we now close up to the American in the last sector. Lando's in. He's making his pit stop, so this will be the proof in the pudding. Has the undercut worked? We've definitely lost about half a second, I feel, just trying to overtake Sargent there. I'm not joking. Even though it was a couple of corners that we only got held up by Sargent, I think we would have been flying through that sector. It's a green first sector, yellow the middle, and as we go to the line, yellow the last sector. We've already got the fast lap of the Grand Prix, though, from a previous lap. As we get up into P4, it's ahead of Verstappen and Lando, though. Verstappen, though, crucially, is ahead of Lando out the pits It's a 3.2 second gap, but that is going to start coming down quite rapidly. Lap 17, the gap's down to 2 seconds as Lando looks to make the pass to get up into second place. But yeah, those 4 laps of difference. Oh, Sainz locks up. In his battle with Hamilton, the Ferrari is off momentarily, but continues on in P4. But I was going to say, yeah, those 4 laps for us of undercut, it didn't really get us miles ahead like I was hoping. And they are now rapidly catching me because those fresh hards are really making a difference as the gap is already down to 1.8, 1.7 it might be by the time we go through into the next sector. So Lando is rapidly catching us and he's bringing Verstappen along for the ride because of that DRS just training along. And so by the time we get to lap 18, I've decided we're not going to fight this really aggressively. If Lando wants to make the overtake, he can do, but he's going to have to actually go and close up to us. We'll keep the ERS and hot lap mode, which will still deploy a decent amount, but Lando does go for it. Real aggressive dive bomb, actually, as we weren't obviously as late as possible on the brakes, but we were still pretty normal on the brakes, and he's got into first place. So we'll actually keep up with him in second, and a little bit awkwardly now, Verstappen's right there, and I basically have a bit too much pace with the DRS now to not overtake him, and I'm kind of looking to get away from Verstappen as well, so we do go for the repass. Lando moves across, and maybe that's a mistake as Verstappen now comes through on the outside. Okay, no, maybe we shouldn't have overtaken him because Verstappen now follows through. The two will be side by side now, and this is actually going to turn into an absolute scrap and a half between our teammate and Max Verstappen. The two of them still neck and neck, banging tyres even as they go through the next sequence of corners. The long double right-hander, there's nothing to separate them. Verstappen on the inside, I think he'll just squeeze out Lando, who's down to third. But what a great scrap that was between the title contender. Oh, no. No, no, no. Oh, it's heartbreak. It's going to be heartbreak for our team and for Lando.
Losing power. I'm losing power. It's going.
Bullshit!
Go to P1, pause for 4 seconds, go to P0. I'm so sorry.
Of all the times to have an engine failure, now was not the time for our teammate Lando Norris out of the Qatar Grand Prix. Oh man, that is just so gutting. With 10 points in it, well 9 points in it after the sprint win. Now we're looking at Verstappen, P2, a full 18 points if we were to go on to win this, and now we kind of have to try and go on to win it to minimize the damage. But I'm now thinking, is there anything we can do? Like realistically, no. What can we do? The only thing I'm thinking of doing here now, lap 20, is pulling a Lewis Hamilton from 2016. Remember when he backed up Rosberg into rivals to encourage them to overtake Nico in the finale in Abu Dhabi? We're going to try and do that for Lando, who's watching on from the sidelines. Verstappen actually overtakes us. We have to re-overtake him. We have to be careful here because he's on the outside. We squeeze him out, and through goes Hamilton. Hamilton might just help us out here. Come on, Lewis. Hamilton on the outside to the inside for the next right-hander. Can Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, help out a fellow Brit and overtake his rival Verstappen from a previous year? And Sainz as well. Oh, everyone's coming in to help. Sainz, can he do this in the Ferrari to push Verstappen down to P4? I mean, P4 is still pretty horrendous in terms of a number of points. That's still 12 whole points he is scoring on Lando, with 0 now in this race. Like, no matter how far he goes, unless he DNFs out this race, it's gonna be curtains. It's gonna be so tough for Lando to do anything in the finale. But all I can do is try and be a bit of a menace. Try and do what Lewis was doing in Abu Dhabi and just park this and try and make this as awkward as possible and as uncomfortable as possible for Max Verstappen. As now we have to be careful though. Sainz on the inside. Verstappen's there as well. It's 3 wide, 4 wide. Hamilton is on our inside. We've made a triple overtake technically there to repass everyone. And Verstappen actually gained... Oh no, he loses a position. I thought he gained a position there. up to third. But at the last minute, Lance Stroll out of nowhere, the Canadian, is up to third place. And here's a replay then, so we have to be very careful, because at this point, Sainz and Verstappen on our inside. That's got very, very close. We actually do really well to get around the outside. And then, okay, Max just loses the back end all on his own, actually. Got a bit spooked from Hamilton and maybe my rear end, but no contact was made. Verstappen all on his own loses the back end, and he's down to fourth place again, as now Lewis overtakes us round the outside of the final corner, such as how slow I was into the apex. And now Stroll's going through. Verstappen might be there as well. Sainz as well. It's all kicking off. It's all rather close. We have to slam on the brakes because we nearly rear-end Hamilton. We lose the back end. We're drifting through into the exit of turn 1. We've just managed to stay ahead of Russell, and all of a sudden Verstappen is actually down to P5. So in all of that chaos, he's gone down one more position, but now I'm focused on trying to get back up into P1. We have the pace to do it, but do we have the laps to do it? I mean, I don't have anything to lose or gain. I'm literally nowhere near the fight in the title fight. I'm in no man's land, so it may not matter to me in the grand scheme of things, but obviously we still want to try and maybe get the P1 if we can. But Lance Stroll's leading! He just overtook Hamilton! He just overtook the Merc! The Aston leads. Hamilton, Sainz going side by side. Chaps, you're being far too slow now as we look to make the pass on Sainz in sector 1, but these two have just slowed each other up. They've slowed us all up, and Stroll's got a bit of breathing room as we go on into the last corner towards the last lap of the Grand Prix. We're a bit far back, you know. We've actually not got too much battery. This is going to be a bit close, and I actually think we may have lost this. Can Hamilton get first place, or will Stroll defend? I think he has. He's defended enough. Hamilton's still P2. We're not close enough to make any sort of move on either of them. Meanwhile, just to confirm, Verstappen is down to P6. He's behind Sainz. He's behind Russell. But this is the final lap. There's only one sector to go. Could this be another shock F1 race winner? It was Alexander Albon last time out in Las Vegas, and now in the final sector, the Canadian with all the pressure on his shoulders, everyone's saying he shouldn't be in Formula 1. Hamilton is harvesting. We can get P2, but we're so close yet so far from retaking P1. But in all that chaos and the ultimate sacrifice for us to push down Verstappen, Lance Stroll is an F1 race winner.
That's it. P1. P1.
Yes, boys! Let's go! Let's go! Yes!
It is very mixed emotions right now in the cockpit, because across the line, we've actually sealed the Constructors' Championship. In our first season in Formula 1, we have won the Constructors with McLaren. But it's heartbreak for our teammate, because it is going to be such a monumental ask for him to turn it around in Abu Dhabi now. It's still mathematically all to play for, but it's going to be tough. Very mixed emotions. I'm so happy we won the Constructors, but
And that's the checkered flag. What an effort from the team here in Qatar. And a fully deserved victory too.
They had to be decisive with their overtaking today as they worked their way through the field. And those kind of race victories are so enjoyable, because it's not just like winning from the front. They really had to work for it today.
Aston Martin's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the biggest names in the sport. They're making their way out to the podium as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them.
a crazy podium. Stroll on the top. Hamilton there on the third step. We're in second. Maybe should have been the win. Probably would have been the win, but we tried our best to be a bit of a menace and slow everyone up just to cause a bit of havoc. And havoc we caused. But I don't think it's even enough, to be honest. Verstappen down to, what, P6? But it's still a decent amount of points. It's still a big margin. Like, now Lando has to really pray that Max gets struck down with a mechanical fault that slows him up, or a full-blown technical fault that sees him out the race, or what. or some sort of other F1 miracle, because it is all looking like it's going his way. It is Verstappen's to lose now going into Abu Dhabi, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Formula 1 is a cruel, cruel sport, and we're seeing that with our eyes in front of us right now. But we've sealed out the constructors. We've got to be happy. We've got to celebrate that for a bit as well. We have to. But guys, if you have enjoyed the episode for all of that, then hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time for the finale of this rookie debut season in Formula 1. Till then, goodbye.